Good morning, the internet. This is part two. So, part one of part two is not cleaning this, but making some space, but also cleaning this because I got carried away and I got my motor, so I ordered a bunch of parts and now they're just laying around in my shop. So, first things first, we're going to clean this mess. And today we're going to address the space situation as opposed to the engine bay and the engine going in, see what comes in contact with what. And I already found out something that's setting me back quite a lot, but there's a couple of solutions. I don't know which one I'm going to take, but bear with me as I go along in this part of it. I have to get the hang of this because I just filmed a bunch of footage, but it was actually either my phone was locked or it was in picture mode. So I have a pretty good amount of picture of myself just in random position. Okay, so let me switch that over. Well, obviously this is empty. The first thing when you go and do a swap like this, that's a motor that's not meant to go in the same car. It's what we call the sump. So your oil pan is either a front or a rear sump. So you have the rear of the motor where your transmission will go and the front of the motor where, well, everything else happens. And at the bottom, you have your oil pan. So if you have a rear sump, the oil pan pickup where the oil is getting sucked out is in the back. When you have a front sump, well, opposite, you get that, right? Not going to bore you with that. So a S13 with an SR20 from the factory is front sump because the steering rack is in the back. I kind of messed up because I thought a Mustang somehow. I don't know how I did that. Probably I chat GPT'd myself and it played with me. I thought a Mustang from the factory with a Ecoboost motor was front sump. But it's rear sump because obviously a Mustang is front rack. Because that's another thing. When your motor is front sump, the rack is in the back. When your motor is rear sump, the rack is in the front. So today, we are going to try to figure out if I remove this rack, will the stock oil pan go in that hole with enough space for everything? I did find out that it doesn't fit this way right now. I did drop the motor trying to see if there was something I could do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to remove a couple of things from this engine. Probably motor mounts and some other things I bought, and I'm gonna try to also remove the steering rack, just dropping it, just to see if I have enough space to play around with that oil pan. Let's do that first, and then I'll explain after what are my options. Oh well, that Ford. Oh, ouais, mais là. When you think the phone is locked and then it's not locked. Wish I had a 50 by 50. That would be great. But I have to play around with a 10 by 20 filled up with my cardboard obsession, which is not a cardboard obsession. And a car, tools, storage. As this is a drifting project, there's a bunch of tires. So I've removed a bunch of brackets that were in my way when I was testing that. I switched around the strap because I went from side to side. Now I've put it from front to back. I don't know if that's going to help me, but I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out so it's not like it's rocket science. All right, so I managed to switch it around. I know it'd be easier if the strap was like it was before, but I wanted to remove the motor mount so I can have more space to work with. All right, so let's lift this thing up and put it in there. So I went ahead and I removed the steering rack because it's probably going to be in my way, and I might as well because no matter what route I take for the next step, it's going to have to go out either way. So, all right, let's take that thing and try to shove it in there. I also didn't film the rack removal because I'm not going to bother you with stuff you can find all over YouTube. If you do, however, want to know how to remove a steering rack on an S chassis, let me know. All right, so here's the situation. A little bit of clearance issue with some things. You can probably see it. There's not much space, so right now my engine is touching the intake and the brake booster. But I'm already planning on deleting the boosters, so I don't mind about that one. What I do mind is, let me try to get you in there, is that right here. So this is our, yeah, no, that's not happening. Okay, so this is our subframe, and this is the oil pan. And it's sitting right there on the subframe. It's held a little bit with the crane, but you can see that there's not much clearance here. And we can't really go back furthermore because the IL pressure fuel pump, which I'm keeping, is almost in the firewall. So, however, I'm really pleased with that side because there's a whole lot of room for activities. And intercooler is pretty much lining up with the turbo. Radiator is going to be here, and the inlet is aligning really good. But you see, the engine still has to come down a good, I want to say 6 or 8 inches. So, yep. So, this is where we're standing now. I think I'm going to take you guys mobile on this one because it's going to be easier to see it. All right, so not sure if you can see. Let me bring you guys down here. So right now, the engine, no, we can't see. All right, so on this side, the engine is actually not the engine. The oil pan is resting on the subframe. And right next to it, right here, sorry, right there, I'm going to point it out. So this thing here, right there, it's the steering rack mount. So there's no way I can put a steering mount with the motor like that in the car. And let me show you something else. So this is our air pump. It is going away. I'm going to block that off, but this is our high pressure fuel pump and it's not going anywhere. And it's stuck against the firewall. And on this side, it's the same thing. You can probably see here, but the engine is leaning against the subframe and yeah. Yep. So right now I have some really good thinking to do because it's not gonna cut it. I thought I could go around, but I don't think it's possible. Because the motor still has to go down again another at least at least 4 inches, maybe. And that oil pan is probably about 4 inch deep at that point where it needs to go down. So yeah, we're gonna have to think a lot on that one. And also, so right now the oil pan, the lowest part is right at the height of the subframe. You can see it right there through just a little bit. So if I go down another 4 inches, that means that the oil pan is going to be the lowest point of this car, and this car is extremely low. And here, the pan is resting on the subframe, so I cannot go lower. That's also the reason why I have to go down a couple inches. It's because, let me just grab something here so I can point it out, is that this here is the air pressure fuel pump. And as you can see, it's a little bit high, so it has to go down. So that's about 4 inch, and that's from here to the top, it's 6 inches. So it does have to go down at least 4 inches, but ideally I would love 6, sorry. So yep, fun times ahead. So that's gonna be it for this one. I'm gonna have to do some thinking. I was expecting that. I'm not living in a fairy tale. It's just, it's there. You have it. Let's test it. See if there's something you can work around. But there's no workaround on that one. It's either a billet oil pan, or yeah, even with the front rack, it's not gonna happen. So it's either a custom oil pan or that billet one. I'm gonna have to do some thinking. And with the holidays coming, Christmas is right around the corner. We are December 20th. I am not getting any parts in for at least 3 weeks, so I'm losing that. But I have plenty of stuff to do on the car. I mean, there's no wiring here. I need to bring back all the wiring for the lights. What else? I mean, there's no interior. I have to figure out what I'm doing with that. I have to do the manual brake conversion. There's a bunch of stuff to do on the car. So it's obviously a series for the Ecoboost swap, but there's a lot of things I want to prepare. My harness is on the way. Not that I'm going to be able to install that, but at least I'll have it. I still have lots of parts on the way, but I can prepare the engine also. It's going to help me have some things to install on it. So there's probably going to be an episode about that. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed that. There was not much done here. It's just me screwing around and realizing I screwed myself. But it's all right. I really want to do this. I do believe in this swap, and I am not backing out because I don't have an ESR20 anymore, and I have a Ford Ecoboost motor that belongs to me. So let's wrap this up here, and I'll see you on the next one.